Okay, I'm an attorney with a prior marketing degree. I have no specialty to speak of. I could not say no and was thus highly overworked for 2 decades by my employers. Got cancer in my 40s. Since then, I'm very protective about my health. I lost my job in 2022 and can't afford to retire yet. I feel I've become unemployable and I'm close to giving up on law. Would creating a powerful USP help me to become self-employed in law and business? Should I use overdoing cancer as part of my story? Okay, so this is a great question. The first thing is I just want everyone to understand what this person is talking about with cancer. It's actually, and I hate to say this, very normal. I was just thinking about this when I was part of the office a second ago. It's very normal for attorneys to, and I think it's probably a little bit more this in here than other professions. But it's very normal for attorneys, I think, because of the stress to get things like cancer, have alcoholism. Often I've actually seen people commit crimes because the stress of the work and being overworked can hurt people. I think it affects your health. Something that I've seen a lot of is, anyway, it's people, you get overworked in a law firm many times. And the problem is like this person saying you can't say no, and no one's ever going to tell you to slow down. They literally could watch you coming apart at the seams. And if you're billing a lot of hours, it's in no one's interest to tell you to slow down because you're making the money. So that's a problem. And then sometimes people will just get overworked. They'll give everything they can in a law firm or in some legal environment. And then something bad will happen, or they'll lose their job or they'll quit and then they have nothing and then they feel like they've lost everything. It's very difficult. And I'm not saying this is normal in every job, but it's difficult. I do think bodies and things are more susceptible to things like cancer when people are stressed, when they're not eating healthy, when they're not getting enough sleep, when they're eating the wrong foods and not exercising. Why would you possibly not have health problems if you're living like that? So that's very important to understand as well. If you're treating your body like that, it's not helping you. Okay, so this person can't afford to retire. They feel like they become unemployable and I'm close to giving up on the law. Would create a powerful USP, help me become self-employed in law and business. Should I use overdoing cancer as part of my story? Okay, so the couple of things here. So yes, you can become self-employed. I'll talk about that in a minute. So that's no problem. Easy to do, easiest to do. And so that's the first question. Yes, you can become self-employed. I'll talk about that in a minute. Should you use overcoming something as a USP? First thing I'll talk about becoming self-employed, because this is very important for people to understand. But the first thing I want to talk about is overcoming obstacles is a basis for a USP. As a general rule, you don't want to tell people about things like that. If you saw in someone's bio that they overcame alcoholism or something, that would make you uncomfortable. If you saw somebody say that they turned their life around after their wife and children were killed in a homicide, or you say something overcame this and that, it just makes people uncomfortable. So you typically things that are highly personal in nature, which are illnesses and tragedies and overcoming substances and things like that, you should never try to use that as something that helps you. Because the problem is that it can make people comfortable, and you don't want to be defined. You do not want to be defined by past tragedies or past tragedies. So that's one of the things I would say. You don't want to be defined by those sorts of things. You want to be defined by something. So yes, you can become self-employed. It's interesting. I was in a secondhand store one lunch about, 5 years ago. And there was this guy I knew that had gone to a good law school. He'd gone to NYU. And while he was in law school, he developed this testing software that allowed people to take tests on computers. And I don't know, it was cutting edge back then. And so he graduated from law school and worked on this company. And then somehow he ended up having issues with the company. So then he started selling life insurance and became popular. Anyway, so I met him I saw him in this secondhand store. And he had decided to go into education law, but suing school districts for reasonable accommodations for people that needed accommodations or something. And so he just developed a specialty. I don't know how he did it. He learned that someone else was doing or something like that. And that became what he did. That is an idea, the idea of that is developing a specialty in something. And he did that. And I guess he was becoming very successful. I know several attorneys, I say several, 10, that worked in large law firms and became personal injury attorneys. No one taught them how to become personal injury attorneys. They just learned on their own. I know that some of them started big firms. I know people that have done that with immigration law. I know people that have done it with trust and estates. I know a lot of people that have done it with family law. But yes, it's not that hard to start your own law firm if you want to do that. You can become very successful. It sounds to me like a lot of people are saying, and it's true, that they worked in law firms where they were basically felt like they were overworked and not compensated properly and all these sorts of things. Yeah. So why would you go into something that made you sick and where you felt like you got taken advantage of? You should go into something that where you feel where you're able to do something on your own.